Rural abandonment is a serious problem in many regions of Europe, and particularly in Spain. Villages that previously had 200 or 300 inhabitants today have barely a dozen. Some have almost no children, and their schools have been closed for many years. With the abandonment of rural communities, a good part of our cultural heritage is lost, including ways of life and knowledge that will be difficult to recover. This process is known locally as the empty Spain. But this Spain is not really empty, as these regions boast enormous cultural and natural values that could be used to offer new opportunities to local people. What few people know is that in many regions, whilst people were abandoning areas once used for crops and pastures, forests were growing back, and with them, wildlife was returning. Wild boars, vultures, rodeo, ibex, eagles, storks and otters are now much more abundant than they were 30 years ago. In fact, Spain is probably the largest wildlife refuge in Europe. And this fauna, combined with beautiful landscapes and spectacular historic towns and villages, exercises a powerful attraction for a global population that is increasingly urban and in need of reconnecting with nature. Under this perspective, what we traditionally refer to as protected areas, if they host whole ecosystems with abundant wildlife as well as beautiful villages, can become economic motors in some of the regions that are most suffering from depopulation. One of the regions with the greatest potential for this approach is the Three Kingdoms. This conservation landscape of over 500,000 hectares, inhabited by just 42,000 people, is located in the heart of the former Crown of Aragon, on the borders of today's regions of Aragon, Valencia and Catalonia. The Three Kingdoms has a remarkable ecological and cultural cohesiveness. Its inhabitants have greater affinity with neighbouring provinces than with regional capitals of Barcelona, Valencia and Zaragoza. In this region, Catalan and Castilian are both spoken and cross administrative and political borders. However, what makes this region truly remarkable is an almost unique combination of vast natural landscapes, iconic wildlife, and exceptionally well-preserved historic towns. It's a region where griffon vultures and Spanish ibex live amongst Templar castles, stone houses, and isolated farmhouses that cling to life in the middle of these mountains. All this just 2 hours from cities such as Barcelona or Valencia, where the wild Iberian mountains meet the Mediterranean Sea. The Three Kingdoms initiative seeks to turn this region into one of Europe's largest conservation landscapes. We want to attract the attention of the outside world and encourage people to come and visit this great region. In this way, we can help local inhabitants make a decent living from their lands, especially through ecological farming and ecotourism. We want to go beyond the typical complaints and laments and be able to say with pride that this is a wonderful land which deserves to be visited and where it is worth living. We aim to appreciate to the full its landscapes, history, wildlife, gastronomy, flora and architecture. We aim to combine nature and culture. In partnership with authorities, local groups and landowners, we want to expand protected areas and promote rewilding. The Bearded Vulture Reintroduction Project is a precedent in which governments and NGOs have collaborated to bring back this spectacular bird that became locally extinct in the past century. The idea is to turn restored ecosystems into true sources of biodiversity, employment and local pride. We aim to help local people who have managed to survive under difficult circumstances be proud about their land so that no one is ever again forced to migrate to make a living.